Hello, this is Up Trail 71, and it is mid-August, and we're back up at the Porcupine Mountains in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. But this time we'll be going on the southern end of the park, rather than the northern end where all the cliffs are. But on this part of the area of the park, we'll get to see a lot more waterfalls, streams, rapids, and we'll hike along Lake Superior for about 1.3 miles. And our campsite will be near Mirror Lake, I think closer to Government Peak. Already you come up to sign overlooked falls. It's 100 feet in that direction. But we'll get to see it from the other side of the stream, as we'll be taking a left up here. You can see the water levels are fairly high. Stream's running good. There's another small stream coming from that direction, running into the main one. And now we'll take a quick look at the map coming up on this sign. We'll be starting on a little Carp River Trail, Greenstone Falls, to be 3/4 of a mile. And the mouth of the river at Lake Superior is 7 miles. So we have a good hike ahead of us yet. And this map will show where we are. We're right here. And we got Greenstone Falls, little Carp River Trail. We hike into the Lake Superior. 1.3 miles along the shore. Then we'll be taking a big Carp River Trail back up and connecting with the Correction Line Trail to Mirror Lake. And the campsite's going to be up here near Government Peak. And this should be Overlook Falls. And then it comes down the stream. You get some nice rapids with some smaller falls. Well, that's the first of several waterfalls they'll be seeing today. And next will be Greenstone Falls, and that is a very beautiful waterfall. Maybe about 8 or 10 feet high. Here's one of the old signs, no camping for the next half mile. That's because you have some cabins around here to be rented out. And at one time you're allowed to do dispersed camping around here, or like stealth camping. But now, for the last couple of years, they made it where you have to reserve campsites. And there's 63 campsites in this park. So it's reserve only. Okay, we made it to Greenstone Falls. It should be right down here. Or we're coming up to a junction. Cross trail to the Big Carp River is 4.5 miles. That'll come out at Lake Superior. But we'll continue on the Little Carp River Trail. And it'll be 4.9 miles to the lake. I think, like I said, it's 1.3 miles to the Big Carp River mouth. And there's a nice little campsite down here along the river. It was called, I think, LC5. Well, now we're starting to hike up on some high banks along this trail. And you can still see the river down here. Must be a good 70 feet up. As far as the weather conditions, it rained this morning on our drive up here. But when we got here, it stopped and the sun came out. It's turning into a beautiful day. They're predicting mid-70s. With a low tonight to be around the mid-50s. So this would be a perfect trip for hiking weather. Go ahead. No, I'm just teasing.
You're weird.
Alright, there's a campsite right up on this little hill, LC6, and of course it's right along the Little Carp River. This is a very nice spot, very peaceful. And the trail did come back down along the river, which is nice. There should be another little waterfall coming up soon. I think it's called Trappers Falls, and I think there's another one called Traders Falls or something like that.
It's really small. Yeah, Trappers Falls.
Now we're coming up to the stream. Look at that large tree that got blown over in the wind. Actually changed the stream a little. Now it looks like we're coming up to a possible little stream crossing. I know we have to get to the other side. Maybe a little further down we can cross. I think so. Otherwise we have to take our shoes off, which is no big deal. See blue blazes on the other side. Yeah, it is a little deep. Now this is really cool. I'll have to hike just a little bit. Look at the waterfall coming down here. And look at the rocks formed into the ground here. Now this is all formed from volcanic activity millions of years ago. Oh, this is so cool. And this should be Trappers Falls. Look at this waterfall. It's like a water slide. Wow. Now it looks like this will be our second stream crossing. I think this one will be easier. Maybe. Let's find out. Look how high that cliff is there, a sand cliff. You see some others have already crossed. Oh yeah, this is a little deeper here.
At least that one's
Here we came up to Traders Falls. The last fall was beautiful, and I think this will be a smaller one, so let's go check it out. Yeah, and this will be Trader Falls. Of course the water levels are down right now, so you're not getting a whole lot for waterfalls, but it still looks nice. Now it looks like we completed this trail. On this side there's a bridge crossing the river. Let's see, we got the Big Carp River is 1¼ miles. And here we are, Lake Superior. See how clear the water is out further, nice and blue, but you get closer to shore around this area, get a lot of iron ore that mixes into the water. We just finished up our quick little lunch break on Lake Superior. Now we'll be getting back on trail. Now one thing about the Lake Superior trails, they're known for mud. But so far it hasn't been too bad from what I've seen. But when it gets muddy, it can be an extreme mess where it can take you a long time to get through. Now we come up to the Big Carp River. And the bridge is gone. Now I gotta find a place to cross. Okay, now this guy just told us they built a bridge down this trail a little ways, so we won't have to do a stream crossing. Yeah, this is nice. This is our new bridge. The other one washed out 2-3 years ago. And just a little ways down from where the original bridge was. The original bridge was down there a little ways. And they built this one. Yes.
In all the right places.
That's a steep climb up to the top of this large like sandbank. That was a good climb up this hill. See how far down the river is. This is always one of my favorite parts of this trail. There, and I'll be heading in the direction of our campsite. And this is another one of the cool looking waterfalls. Even though there's not a whole lot of water coming down now, it's still very nice. And of course another waterfall on this trail. I'm not sure, but I believe this is called Bathtub Falls. I didn't see a sign anywhere. And all these waterfalls you see right on the trail that we keep hiking on the Big Carp River Trail. You can see through the woods. It's not the best view from here, but that's Shining Cloud Falls. It's one of the more popular waterfalls in the park. And right next to this waterfall, on this lookout, it's a good example of what this area is like millions of years ago, when there was a volcanic type eruption. And you can still see a lot of the rocks into what was like a lava. Really a cool area. The Porcupine Mountains is it's entirely a volcanic area. Now you can get a better view of the waterfalls if you climb all the way down to the bottom there. But because of time, and this is almost a 20-mile trip today for us, we're going to keep continuing on the trail. And look at the size of that growth on that tree right behind you. See it?
Nice.
Of course we're dodging some mud right now. The trail has got a little wet. So you see the blue blaze right there?
A little.
A little, I don't know why. Because most of the trail's been dry. This is a nice little hill. We'll be getting back down to stream, and then we're going to have a river crossing. Should be an old tree going across the river. And it'll act like a bridge. And that will be the tree that will be crossing this little river with. Just a few minutes ago, we came up to the next junction. Rather than staying on the Big Carp River Trail, we turned off on the Correction Line Trail. And that's 3 miles to Mirror Lake. And of course, we're going through plenty of mud right now. That's going to be about another 1.5 miles to the campsite. So we've got about 4.5 miles to go. Of course, as you can see, this mud is slowing us down some. And we've been seeing plenty of frogs and different types of mushrooms on the trail. Well, Correction Line Trail, we had one more stream we passed. Small stream, but the water looked really clear. And we're going uphill right now. And this is one of the good steep climbs on this trail. And it's not too bad of a trail. Just a few steep climbs, and now you'll find a few muddy areas. I'm starting to see some nice cliffs along the trail. So we're getting close to Mirror Lake. Okay, we're just finishing up the Correction Line Trail, and this is Mirror Lake. There's a few campsites around this lake, and I think there's 2 cabins. Now this is one of my favorite areas on the North Mirror Lake Trail. This marshy area with this extremely long boardwalk. It's one of the longer boardwalks that you'll see. And then back to the right, kind of hard to see right now because it's all growing up, but there's a beaver pond. Oh, now we're getting to some muddy spots. Not very good. Well, we should be about a mile or so away from our campsite. I'm looking forward to that. And it's getting late, so it's going to be close. We get our hammock set up in the dark or not. And we're finally coming up to a junction. Of course, if we continue on this, it'll be the North Mirror Lake Trail to Lake of Clouds. We're not going to do that. Our campsite's going to be less than a mile on the Government Peak Trail. Hopefully it's not too muddy, but you can see there's some mud ahead of us. Oh, we made it. It's almost dark. Still can see a decent amount. There we got a nice fire going. And we roughed in our hammocks, so they're partially set up. Of course it's a little dark right now, it might be hard to see. And we're going to be rehydrating some food. Chicken and dumplings. And I use my little alcohol stove, the cat can stove. Been using that since last year on the SHT, and it works great. And this looks like a good meal. I will see you in the morning. Good night. Well, first we're going to go filter some water. So we're going to have to go down this hill a ways. I'm heating up some water for my alcohol stove. Gonna have this breakfast skillet, hash browns and scrambled eggs with mixed pork, sausage patty, peppers and onions. Had these quite a few times over the years. You think you get tired of them, but that's a quick, simple meal in the woods. As far as gear changes last night compared to last trip, the only thing I used different was my underquilt. It's a summer one, good down to about 50 degrees. Other than that, all my gear's been the same for the last few trips. Well, we now have our hammocks all broken down. We ate our breakfasts and we'll be getting back on the trail very soon. We'll have about 7 miles to the trailhead from the campsite. We'll be passing by Mirror Lake again and then down some trails that my wife has never been on. Well, this log crossing would be a lot easier than trying to go through that mud mess. It's getting near Mirror Lake. Well, how'd you like this little section?
It sucked.
Yeah, that's one of the wetter sections. Overall, the trails, I'd say 90% of the time are good. But you always gotta have that one spot.
Oh yeah, you can't keep your shoes clean. What fun would that be?
Right. And here comes that boardwalk going over a wet area. But at least it keeps you dry. Now we're passing by the old beaver dam. And that's that nice little pond right there. And now we're passing by Mirror Lake. And we're seeing a few fall leaves on Mirror Lake. I'm sure that the tree is probably, not living very well, being right in the water. I'm sure that's why you see some leaves like that. Okay, we come up to the sign. South Mirror Lake Trail, we'll be continuing on that. Summit Peak Road, 2.5 miles. Lily Pond Cabins, 2.5 miles, we'll be going by that. And this is where we are right now. Right by Mirror Lake. We'll be going by Lily Pond and back to the trailhead right here. We're coming up to Lily Pond. The cabin right next to it. The small beaver dam right there. And there's a boat for the ones who rent a cabin. And you can go out in this small pond. This is an extremely beautiful area in the fall with all the maple trees on that mountain. Now we come up to a little Carp River. We'll be crossing over here somewhere. I think you have to cross over some rocks. I don't think there's a bridge if I remember correct. And there's a campsite right over here. And now we're climbing this steep little bank. But we crossed on that tree right over there. Just a little ways down from where that dam thing was or whatever. At least we decided to take the route that was the safest from getting wet feet. There, we're coming up to another junction, and this should be getting very close to our trailhead. I'd say within a half a mile. Little Carp River Road, yeah, half a mile. Oh, we're just starting to finish up our loop. Coming up the Little Carp River where little bridges, where we first started our adventure. There, we have just about completed our about 26-mile loop. The Little Carp River and the Big Carp River. I guess you could call it the Two Carp Rivers loop. I don't know. But anyway, thanks for watching. Up Trail 71.